And you said it's not about comparison. Is that something that was like a lesson that was easy for you to learn, or did you have to figure that out with time?
I don't know. I think that's just a constant thing. Like, there's always there's like it's just human to want to
Mhm.
compare and kind of size up competition. I mean, being a sports fan, I think it's innate in you to be also competitive, like because that's the
Yeah.
basis of sports is competition. But it's just about like looking inside yourself because if we're back to social media, I think that's something that I don't know if we kind of envisioned would be such a huge part of um, the impact of social media, the comparison that people kind of waste their time with, instead of um, figuring out ways to improve yourself. You're
Yeah.
you're you're scrolling, doom scrolling, and envisioning what other people are doing with their time and why you're not doing that with your time. And it was really hard for me too. Like after having a my daughter, like my life completely changed and your priorities change
Yeah.
and your time changes. And so trying to find that balance. So like there are a lot of times where I have to get myself out of a funk if I'm, you know, um, comparing myself to what I could have done if I wasn't, baking cookies for the
Yeah.
bake sale tomorrow. Like, what game film I could be watching or, story I could be reading to get myself prepared for the game. And there's always something I could be doing more on in some part of
Right.
my life. So I think that comparison, that juggling of a balancing act that is being an adult with responsibilities and a career, I think that's the hardest part. Do I have it figured out? No. Are there moments of weakness? Yes, constantly.
Yeah.
Um, but it's trying to figure out like what's best for me in terms of how can I grow as a person, not just as a reporter, not just as a mom or a wife, but like as a complete person. And so, that's an everyday challenge that I think we
Yeah.
all deal with.
And I think, and I wanted to ask you about that. You kind of said it, and it was an interview that you talked about saying your focus used to be 100% on work, and that can't be the case when you're a mom now. So was that adjustment difficult for you? Because it sounded like you were having like a mental tennis match and knowing that your life is about to change. And
Yeah.
then once it happened, like you said, you can prepare for all the things in the world. But once she was here, how was that adjustment?
I mean, I'm still adjusting,
Yeah.
it's hard going on the road and, and she's asking me where I'm going and why I'm not there and, missing out on dance recitals and,
Mhm.
finding that kind of balance of figuring out who's going to be watching her and, like how much time I can spend if I could take an earlier flight so I can make a
Yeah.
practice or should I just skip that practice so I can take her to school? Like it's an everyday juggle and it was really hard for me, me and my husband had been together for a long time and I think before we decided to have kids and I think it's because I always knew that once I was going to have we were going to have a family that I was going to end up just not being the same person I always knew. And which
Mhm.
is like, it depends on how you're looking at that.
Yeah.
I only knew, myself as someone who had been chasing this dream since I was in middle school um, and, what that took to kind of keep up in the rat race. And, I was so nervous that I was going to lose that. To the point where like I've been open about like how I hid my pregnancy because I thought
Mhm.
people cared and no one cared. It only just
Yeah.
created more stress, but it was just something I could control. When, like the most uncontrollable thing was about to happen. Like,
Yeah.
and so since then it's like it's life, like a working parents, working mom, like we've all heard it. It's sacrifice, it's rewarding, it's beautiful, it's chaotic, it's stressful, like it's all those things, but that's life. And I have a pretty good one, so I
Yeah.
just, try to bring myself back to that center anytime I feel myself kind of spinning out.